South Philadelphia, 2:17 a.m. Rain glazed the streets, turning streetlights into blurred halos. Most of the neighborhood slept, but Clara Bennett was still awake. Inside her narrow brick apartment, she scrubbed her hands at the sink, washing away a hospital shift that refused to leave her skin. No matter how hard she tried, the metallic scent of blood lingered. Some stains never came off. On the couch, her 8-year-old son Leo slept in his school hoodie, arms wrapped around a stuffed army medic bear. Clara watched him breathe, steady and safe. That rhythm was the only thing keeping her grounded. A sudden thud echoed from the hallway below. Then an angry shout. Her body locked instantly. For a split second, she wasn't home anymore. She was back in Iraq, sand in her mouth, smoke in her lungs, someone screaming for help she couldn't give in time. Clara shut her eyes and forced herself to breathe. You're home. Stay invisible. Across the city, a very different night was unfolding. A convoy of black sedans rolled into an abandoned shipping yard near Port Richmond. At the center sat Vincent Falcone, the phantom of Philadelphia's underworld. Old school, untouchable. Or so everyone believed. Beside him was Marco Rossi, younger, sharper, patient in the way surgeons are patient, calm, calculating. This peace meeting feels rushed, Falcone said quietly. Marco smiled. Peace is cheaper than blood. The warehouse lights cut out without warning. Gunfire exploded. Falcone barely reached for his weapon before bullets tore into his shoulder and side. Familiar faces fired back at him, his own men. Marco's voice echoed coldly through the darkness. You taught me loyalty, boss. Falcone collapsed as boots dragged him into the rain-soaked alley. Blood pooled beneath him while the storm swallowed the sound of betrayal. Back in South Philly, Clara left the hospital through a side exit, hoodie pulled tight. She took the alley shortcut she hated but always used. Halfway through, she heard it. A wet, ragged breath. She froze. It's not your problem, her mind warned. Then came a weak voice. Help! Clara moved before fear could stop her. A man lay slumped against a dumpster, soaked in blood, barely conscious. Gunshot wounds, one lung collapsing. Her PTSD surged. Her hands shook. She saw another face, another soldier she'd failed to save years ago. Then she thought of Leo. She dragged the man inside her building inch by inch. No ambulance, no police, not in this neighborhood. Using vodka, duct tape, a sewing kit, and muscle memory from war, Clara worked. She sealed the chest wound, stitched fast and ugly, forced herself to breathe through every flashback. By dawn, the man was alive, and Clara had no idea who she'd saved. She woke to silence. No sirens, no shouting. Leo pressed his face to the window. Mama, there are men outside. The street below was lined with black suits, dozens of them, silent, waiting. At their center stood an elderly man with a cane. He looked up and nodded. A knock followed. You saved Mr. Falcone, the man said calmly. Life debts are sacred. By evening, Clara's apartment changed. New appliances, groceries, rent erased, guards posted outside. At first, it felt like rescue. Then, it felt like a cage. A black sedan watched her building day and night. Leo drew pictures of the men outside. They don't blink, Mama. Across the city, Marco Rossi watched surveillance feeds with quiet anger. She's turning him soft, Marco said. Send a reminder. The next morning, Clara found a photograph under her door. Leo at school. No words, just a warning. That night, Clara made a call she never wanted to make. I need to see him. They met in a deserted diner by the docks. You entered a world that doesn't forgive neutrality, Falcone told her. You turned my life into a prison, Clara replied. I want out. He studied her. When you saved me, you weren't saving me. You were saving someone you lost. The truth landed hard. Then everything shattered. A staged car crash outside her building. Smoke. Screaming. Clara ran. Too late. Masked men grabbed her. Leo was taken. When she woke, they were bound inside the same warehouse where Falcone had been betrayed. Marco stepped forward, smiling. You're quite the legend now. Falcone arrived minutes later, with no army, just resolve. Marco pressed a gun to Leo's head. Choose, he whispered. Clara spoke calmly, like she was talking down a patient on the edge. She named Marco's fear, his need to replace Falcone, his obsession with control. For a moment, Marco's hand trembled. Falcone stepped between the gun and the child. The shot rang out. Falcone fell, but Leo lived. Marco was captured. Everyone waited for the execution. Instead, Falcone lowered the gun. You live with what you've done, he told Marco. Leave this city. Mercy is your sentence. Weeks later, the guards vanished. The street returned to normal. One morning, Falcone knocked on Clara's door, alone. He placed keys and papers on the table. A new name? A farmhouse in Oregon. Freedom. No strings, he said. That night, Clara and Leo left Philadelphia behind. In Oregon, a river flowed past pine trees and quiet mornings. Leo learned to balance on fences. Clara breathed without fear. She kept the cracked credit card she'd once used to save a life. Not as a weapon, but as a reminder. Sometimes, one choice doesn't save the world, but it can change its direction, and that is enough.